Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are checking in, so to speak, to the world of international hospitality education. If you've ever thought about a career that blends travel, working with people, and, the really sharp business side of things, then studying hotel management abroad isn't just an option. It's often the foundation you need.
It really is. It's this incredible hybrid career, and the gap between studying at home and going global it's just massive in this industry. Our research today really gives you a blueprint, not just for how to get into a top school, but how to make sure that choice actually leads to a successful, high-paying global career.
Exactly. So our mission here is to unpack the ultimate guide. We're focusing on how you get those global service standards that employers want, and also how to navigate the real-world stuff costs, visas, and actually getting a great job at the end of it all.
And here's the key thing to get from the start. The best locations, they don't just have great schools, they actively shape the industry. Think about Switzerland, France, the UK. These places define what modern service even is. So when you study there, you're absorbing that culture from day one.
Hmm.
It's training by immersion, which is so much more valuable.
That makes perfect sense. So let's get into that core advantage. The data seems really clear that an international degree gives you a serious edge. What does that edge actually look like?
Well, the biggest thing is operational exposure. You're not just, learning management theory in some classroom. You are on the ground, seeing firsthand how huge international hotel chains, who are often partners with your school-managed guest, run their finances and maintain their brand across different cultures.
So it's not just what they teach, but who is involved in the teaching. The analysis we saw points out that these countries have decades of expertise, and the big hotel groups are often right there helping shape the curriculum.
And that's the utility of it. It's so direct. The top schools, they all require internships. We're talking long ones, often swapping between a semester in class and a semester in a paid job. So by the time you graduate, you don't just have a degree. You spent real time running departments, handling operations, managing the logistics of the rooms division or F&B on the job.
That immediate usefulness sounds like the key.
It is. And that answers the big question. Why do employers all over the world want graduates from these programs? They're looking for those international service standards, that global perspective. It's almost impossible to teach that kind of cultural skill locally. They know when they hire you, you've already been tested in these really complex international environments.
And the timing on this is fascinating, especially looking ahead to 2025. The research shows this huge return in global travel that started in 2024 is just getting stronger. So the demand for skilled hospitality workers is, well, it's surging.
It is.
Yeah.
But, and it's a big but, the recovery is very different from market to market, which just highlights how important it is to pick a program with a really strong, verifiable internship placement record. The school's employer network is probably the single biggest factor in you landing that first great job.
That's a powerful point. Okay, so let's take a tour. If you're going to make this huge investment, where are the top hubs? What's the special focus for each one?
So we basically found 5 key destinations in the sources, and each one has a very different flavor. First up, the big one, Switzerland.
Right. Switzerland is the gold standard, isn't it? They perfected that model of mixing tough classroom learning with those mandatory internships. What makes them so unique is just the level of precision. The campuses are often set up like small, high-end hotels, so you're living and breathing 5-star standards from the moment you get there.
Exactly. It's a huge focus on operations and management. Then you go to France, and the whole focus shifts. In France, it's all about luxury service, gastronomy, bespoke guest care. You're not just learning to manage a kitchen. You're learning service choreography, the art of the experience. It's baked into the culture.
Okay, so then we've got the UK, Great Britain. The approach there seems a bit more academic, right? With strong ties to the corporate world.
Yes, more integrated into a broader business framework. And for the UK, there's a really crucial bit of context for anyone planning for 2025. The sources flag new employer tax and national insurance rules. Now, national insurance, or NI, is basically a payroll tax. And the changes could make it more expensive or just harder for employers to hire new graduates, especially international ones.
Wow. Okay, that is a deep dive detail that could totally change your post-graduation plans. It really hammers home that you need to be looking at these local labor laws before you even apply, not after you've graduated.
Precisely. Next up, Australia. Australia is a fantastic environment for international students. The focus there is more on large-scale resort management operations leadership, a lot of it tied to the big leisure and tourism sectors in the Asia-Pacific.
And finally, Singapore.
Singapore. If you're aiming for those fast-growing Asian markets, think massive city hotels, super professionalized service, Singapore is perfect.
Yeah.
It's all about modern hotel tech, efficiency, and just managerial excellence.
So that's the where. What about the how? What are the main paths you can take?
The sources really lay out three main tracks. First, you've got your standard bachelor's degrees, 3 to 4 years. This is your management track. You're learning front office F&B, which is everything from restaurants to big events, rooms division, marketing, and how to manage the money.
Then you have master's degrees. Who are those for?
Those are mostly for people who already have a degree and want to get on the fast track. The analysis suggests a master's might be overkill unless you already have experience or you're aiming for a really high-level strategy or finance role. It's less about operations and more about being an executive.
And the third option.
Short courses or professional diplomas. These are quick, maybe a year. They're all about getting specific skills fast, and they almost always include an internship. Great for a career pivot.
Okay, we have to talk about the hard part. The money. This is a huge investment. Let's break down the budget.
Financially, yeah, it's a big deal. The analysis is pretty clear. Switzerland is almost always the most expensive for tuition. Yeah, you're paying for the reputation of schools like EHL and Lyon. France, the UK, Singapore, they're more in the mid-range. And while living in these big tourist cities is expensive, those paid internships can really help offset some of the costs.
But it's not just tuition and rent, is it? You have to budget for other things like uniforms, training materials.
Oh, absolutely. And industry events, which are not optional. That's where you build your network. And this is probably the most critical piece of financial advice we found. You need a planning cushion, a big one. The research strongly recommends saving enough to cover 6 to 12 months of living expenses, because your internship might be unpaid or low-paying, and you could have a gap between graduating and landing that first good job. That cushion is everything.
That is such practical advice. So let's look at the payoff, the career path. What does your growth look like after you get this degree?
You'll start in a foundational role, like a front office associate or a guest relations executive. You're learning the mechanics.
But the promotion speed is where it pays off, right?
That's it. You move up to mid-level much faster. Front office manager, restaurant manager, roles where you're actually managing a team and a budget. And the long-term potential is huge. We're talking a film manager, director of revenue, or even a high-paid hospitality consultant. And the sources are clear that this happens way faster for graduates with that international placement experience on their resume.
Okay, so to get to those top jobs, you need the right skills. What are the key takeaways beyond just the academics? What about soft skills and tech skills?
Soft skills are, they're everything. This is a people business. So that means leadership, managing diverse teams, keeping cool when everything goes wrong at 2 in the morning, professional communication, and just deep cultural awareness are completely non-negotiable.
And the tech side has gotten much more serious.
It's not optional anymore. Hotels are complex tech businesses now. You need to know basic data analytics, how to use revenue management tools to set prices, and you have to be fluent in property management systems, the PMS, and all the new guest experience tech. The ability to talk about the numbers and the tech as easily as you talk to a VIP guest, that's the mark of a modern manager.
Which brings us to our last and maybe most important section, the strategy, the checklist. You can't just apply to the fanciest name.
No, you can't. You have to prioritize the result you want. Before you even look at a school, decide what you want to be. An F&B director in Asia, a revenue expert in London. Your school choice has to line up with that goal.
Okay, let's go through the critical steps from the strategy guide and the research.
Right.
Step 1 is targeting the right type of program.
Right. So you're looking at those boutique hotel schools, La Roche, EHL, Lyon with proven placement rates, or university-based degrees that are tied into a strong business school.
And step 2 is checking the fine print on internships.
Ruthlessly. You have to find programs where the internships are required and count towards your degree. If the school isn't actively placing you with its partners, its value drops. A lot.
Step 3 is a big one, visas and work rules.
This is maybe the most vital step. You have to research the post-study work visa rules for that country before you apply. Some countries give you 1 year, some give you 3. It's a massive difference. And you need to understand the local labor laws, like that UK national insurance issue. That diligence is your biggest strategic advantage.
And what about networking?
Start early. The data shows it's the fastest path to a job. Connect with alumni, with the school's employer partners on LinkedIn. Before you even get on the plane, find a mentor. It works.
Okay, and let's quickly hit the big mistakes to avoid. The sources called out a few common pitfalls. Number 1 was choosing a school based on brand name, not on actual fit.
The fix for that is easy. Ignore the glossy brochures. Look at the real placement stats for the job you want. If you want to be a revenue manager, a school famous for its chefs might not be the right choice.
Mistake number 2, not getting enough real-world experience.
Yeah, you can't just do one summer job. The fix is to pick a program with required placements and then go find extra short internships during the busy seasons. That's usually November to January or June to August.
And the last big mistake, not preparing culturally.
Right. Employers love adaptability. So the fix is to learn some basic workplace phrases, the local etiquette, before you arrive. It shows you're serious.
And finally, there was this one killer pro tip for anyone doing an internship.
Yes. Keep a list of your measurable wins. Don't just say, I worked at the front desk. Say, I helped streamline check-in and cut guest wait times by 15%. Or, I increased guest satisfaction scores in my department by 10%. Recruiters want to see numbers. They want to see impact.
Quantifiable achievements, that's what gets you hired.
Yeah, and promoted.
So when we put it all together, what's the bottom line here? The key takeaway is pretty definitive, I think. If you actually want a great job after you graduate, your choice has to be based on the school's placement record and its industry connections, much more than its reputation or how nice the campus looks.
You're not just buying an education. You're buying access and guaranteed experience. The whole return on investment depends on that.
Sure. So here's the final provocative thought the research left us with. Hospitality, at its core, is a local business. A recruiter in Singapore is looking for different things than a placement manager in Switzerland or a hiring manager in the UK. So given that, how will you make sure your profile is built not just for one strong first job, but for a truly fluid global career that lets you move between all these different markets?
That's the real challenge, isn't it? It takes a clear strategy and a very, very deliberate choice of where you study right from day one.
A lot to think about. That was our deep dive into mastering international hospitality education. Until next time.